Horrible. Absolutely, positively horrible. On a scale from 1 to 10, nothing. It doesn't even, the meter, it was horrible. It was a cacophony of disjointed nothing. A watery-eyed, breathless, horrible, this, I don't know what the word, I don't know what best describes it other than horrible. Beyond horrid. This was what these people actually thought was going to make a difference. I sat with Mrs. L. I made a series of notes, and from the very first thing, he's using a pancake or a spray or something that is getting, as we say in Italian, faccia arancione, orange face. This is what they call Trump. Orange man. They call Trump Orange Man. He's Orange Man. Number one, you have access to the greatest makeup people that Hollywood can possibly ever involve. Welcome, Judas. Welcome. You've got people standing by. From every, whether it's Spielberg, Scorsese, name it, who will say, we'll give you, we'll do prosthetics. We'll do blushes, blendings. We will have the greatest look. Why is he not wearing a tie? You want him to look as presidential as possible, not in sport garb. You want him to actually look the way British dress. Solid, very solid, stolid. The look. Laughing at the wrong places. I've got some clips for you. First question, right off the bat, they told him, don't make excuses about the cold. What did he do? Cold. What did he do? Cold. I've got a cold. Slurring. All of these questions he should have asked regarding medical testing. Say you're going to have medical testing, and whether you have them or not, it's a later story. Say, of course I'm going to. Of course I will do. Yes, absolutely. George, my duty is to assuage the fears of the American population. And if that's what it will take to earn the trust of these people, I will do so. I will do whatever I have to. I will do whatever I have to. And then whether he does it or not, later on he says, I had a problem, I had scheduling, but you say this. He said, every day I am tested. I think he was trying to say, by virtue of the complexity of what I do, every day is in essence a cognitive test. I think that's what he wanted to say. He shut down Putin. What does this mean? You shut down Putin? The Japanese expanding their budget? NATO? And then these weird smiling, the inappropriate affect? Does this make sense to you? Am I being mean? Pilgrim Media says the big guy memes write themselves. That's the truth. Pilgrim, you don't have to edit. The folks who work for RNC or others, they just roll tape, as we say. Whatever he says, put it out. You don't have to edit anything. 22 minutes. It was from top to bottom. It was Exhibit A. You didn't win. You lost because you are an idiot. Yes, you're decrepit. Yes, you're senescent. Yes, you're a coot. Yes, you're a dotard. Yes, you're a against this watery eyes, flat affect. You look like you're in a delirium. Doesn't look demented, though. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I'm talking to a lot of my neurologist friends, and they're saying he's not forgetting he's not forgetting. Like, what did you say? What was the question? He answers the question. He tries to answer it. But you are an idiot. Listen to me. Listen, Joe. You wanted this. To use the great Jack Reacher line, don't look at me. I didn't make you want to do this. You did. Okay. This was your chance. This was your chance to what? And Stephanopoulos didn't let up. I don't like Stephanopoulos in the least, but you know what? He did a damn good job. Mowerman USA says, thanks for the extra therapy session in our time of need, Mr. L. What a work. George the Hitman at ABC had their marching orders, didn't they? Couldn't be any more obvious what was on the agenda for this interview. I think Mowerman, by the way, thank you. I think he was exceedingly good. He asked some great questions. Great questions. I thought he had to. Look, Stephanopoulos said, I gotta do this. If I look like a schmuck, I'll look like Mika Brzezinski. And nobody wants to look like Mika Brzezinski. Pete, whatever. Brandon should take a page out of Seinfeld. I'm an old man. I'm confused. Take me home. You know? I told you before. But before we do this, here's a couple of moments. Let's look at this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I like demonstrative evidence. You're the jury. You tell me. In no particular order. Remember, this was his chance to write the course of his quote, future at the age of 81.
But 2020 was a close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw was about 36%.
Watch the laugh.
The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed...
See the orange? See the skin? See this xanthodermic hue?
Political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
Not when you're running against a pathological liar.
This was a theme of his, by the way. Donald Trump is a liar and poopy pants. That was it repeatedly. I'm running against a pathological liar. He lied 182 times. So help me God, in the light most favorable to Biden, I could not figure out what the hell he was talking about. Where were these lies? Where were these lies? I know I'm a Trump supporter. I make no bones about it. But to be quite honest with you, what the hell is he talking about?
Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged. Not when people...
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh, I sure had months, but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things, like wars around the world, like keeping NATO together.
Okay.
About your age and your health are growing, so that's why I'm asking, to reassure them, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation?
Watch me there's a lot of time left in this campaign.
No, not really. As of right now, as of this moment, as of today, there's 123 days. That may seem like a lot, but it's not.
It's over 125 days.
Yeah.
So the answer,
decision.
The right answer right now is no, you don't want to do that right
now.
No,
I've already done it.
I don't know what that means. I think what he means by that is every day his job is necessarily a cognitive test or something. And by the way, remember, according to the White House schedule, he's never there, rarely there. What did they do? They shut down the book, or there's a phrase for when he wraps it up. When was the last time he ever did a press conference where people ask him questions? No, he just takes, old shrugs. Jean-Pierre. One more. Just stand by here.
The other concern is that this seems to fit into a pattern of decline. that has been reported on recently. New York.
Oh, this is good. See, now, whenever he hears this, whenever Joe hears something like this, he starts to smile. Now, I don't know about you, kind of like the flatus in the elevator smile.
This seems to have fit into a pattern of decline that has been.
See, he understands. I think that's just, that he can say, see, he's laughing at the right time, even though it's inappropriate.
Reported on recently. New York Times had a headline on July 2nd. Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. Here's what they wrote. People who have spent time with President Biden over the last few months or so said the lapses appear to have grown more frequent, more pronounced, and after Thursday's debate, more worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation, and interviews, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was even when he took office 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Similar reporting in the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal.
Now, this is good stuff. Say what you want about Georgie. Say what you want. This is, they told him. They said, listen, you go out there and you hurt him, which means that from the highest echelons of the Democratic Party and the highest strata of the shadow government ghouls and overlords, they gave him the okay to hurt Pops.
Are you the same man today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago?
In terms of successes, yes.
In terms of successes, yes.
I also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East.
He put together a peace plan. Stop right there. Whoa, wait. He put together a peace plan for the Middle East. That's the last thing you want to claim any kind of. There is no peace. You're responsible for the peace plan? What the hell are you talking about?
That may be coming to fruition. I was also the guy that expanded NATO. I was also
NATO, the scourge of my reality. NATO.
the guy that grew the economy. All the individual things that were done were ideas I had or I fulfilled. I moved on. And so, for example, well, that was true then. What's Biden done lately? Today, just announced 200,000 new jobs.
200,000 new jobs. Can't you feel the burgeoning economy? Can't you feel it? 200,000 new jobs. Now, granted, you might think a fry cook at a Hardee's in Valdosta, Georgia may not qualify, but I do.
We're moving in a direction that no one's ever taken on. I know you know this from the days in the government. I took on Big Pharma. I beat them. No one.
He took on Big Pharma. He rolled over when it came to a certain application of during a certain time, during a vaccination period where there was absolutely nothing of the kind. And by the way, our government was the only one ever to provide for, and this still kills me, statutory immunity on the part of all of these companies from any type of harm that was alleged regarding the use or application of these various vaccinations.
I thought I could beat them. I took on all the things we said we got done. We were told we couldn't get done. And part of it is what I said when I ran was I wanted to do three things. Restore some decency to the office.
Restore decency to the office. Burisma, Hunter, hookers, the big guy, James, your brother, setting up scores of LLCs for your family to receive payments from, whatever it is. There was, of course, that Chinese hedge fund, which is interesting. The documents you had in your garage, including Pennsylvania, Chinatown, we had that. The cocaine. We still don't even know who had the cocaine. They just stopped these investigations. How you turned your back on America at the time it needed you most. At or near the time of that thug, George Floyd, who was killed in the midst of a fentanyl overdose or reaction. And by the way, the police were, I think, excessive in terms of optics nonetheless. You sat back and allowed the country to be gutted and go up in flames. You turned your back and bent over, dropped trowel when it came to this BLM nonsense. You never lifted a finger to find out who was involved regarding Antifa. So don't even, and I'm not going to spend the rest of the night going through this, but those are just, dare I say, a few, Joe.
Restore some support for the middle class instead of trickle-down economics, built from the middle out and the bottom up. That way the wealthy still do fine, everyone does better, and unite the country.
I'm almost done. I just want to get this out of the way.
Turn the campaign around.
Turn the campaign around. Turn it around? How about get it going? Turn it around. There is no campaign. There is, let me say this again. There is no campaign.
You saw it today. How many people do you draw crowds like I drew today?
Wait a minute. Can you imagine, as we say in West Tampa, que cojones, the huevos, the culione, the chutzpah of this man. Did you hear what he just said?
How many people do you draw crowds like I drew?
I think he said, if that's English, how many people do you think can draw a crowd like I did? He actually said this.
You find me any more enthusiastic than today? Huh?
I mean,
I don't know what he's saying.
I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
You can draw a big crowd, but what does he say? Who's he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble.
Who's he have? I don't even know what that means. But this, my friends, this was the pièce de résistance. This was the ultimate.
You and your team have said you had a bad night.
See when he smiles? When he smiles, he's losing.
But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted.
Not good to keep saying you're exhausted. That's not an exculpation.
I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
You know, you say you were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days.
This is my favorite.
Before the debate, spent 6 days in Camp David. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
6 days at Camp David. And why were they doing that? Why? It was important. He's not going to tell you this. To titrate the meds, to try to titrate and blend a particular amount of either Adderall or whatever this witch's brew that was being used. And I mean that sincerely. Wouldn't that be great? George, is that you? Somebody stepped on a duck. Carpet frog. Anywho, that was to adjust the meds and also to get him used to standing, believe it or not, for 90 minutes. I'm not exaggerating.
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked them, they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong.
They kept saying COVID. Who's getting COVID? Excuse me. Is anybody getting COVID? You're not doing the PCR stuff, are you? That really tells you that there is a molecule of COVID in your nasal passages. It doesn't mean your viral load is high. There's no, Joe, you're not immune from COVID yet? Or excuse me, or is this a variant?
They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't. They just had a really bad cold.
And did you ever watch the debate after?
Now stop right now. Stop. Stop what you're doing. Please stop what you're doing. Listen to me. Listen to me what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. Stop. If you're listening to this in your car, pull over. If you're listening, if you have small children around, put them down if you're holding them. If you have lactating women and people with pacemakers, should be consulting their physicians before they hear this. If you're using sharp objects, if you're shaving, if you're lancing a boil, if you're in the middle of anything that appears to be even south of frottage, stop immediately. Because what you're going to hear right now was, to me, the most incredible lie of them all. Listen to this.
Cold.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
I don't think I did. I don't, George, think. Let me see. Did I remember watching the event that will be forever known as the debate? do I remember whether I sat down and got a glimpse of the moment, of the spectacle, of the event that destroyed what was left of my already putrescent, fetid, feculent, odoriferous, concretized Otios campaign. Do I remember that?
I didn't. He just had a really bad cold.
One more time.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, what I want to get at is, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Oh, by the way, this is a great one too. And he doesn't really do this, but there was a heads up. One of the excuses they were going to give, you ready for this? Please, if you're shaving, if you're lancing a boil, if you're in the middle of undonism at this particular point, stop what you're doing, move the visqueen out of the way, and listen carefully. One of the reasons, one of the bases they say for his absolutely horrible performance was the fact that he was so immersed and imbued by and regarding data that he just couldn't keep track of it. He couldn't keep track of it. He learned too much. He was a walking an encyclopedia of data. He was a veritable suppository of information. That's the one he kind of alluded to.
Yeah, look. The whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine.
What was your fault? He doesn't really specify what was his fault.
I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council for explicit detail.
Sit down.
And I realized about partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate,
what
9 now or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. I couldn't.
He keeps saying the number 28. Number 9, 28. 28, he lied. I'm going to talk about a lie in a moment, as opposed to a misrepresentation of fact without the intent to deceive.
I mean, the way the debate ran, not my fault, nobody else's fault.
Well, thank
no
you.
one else's fault.
Thank you.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in.
You know it.
Even before he spoke.
Well, I just had a bad night.
I don't even know where to go. A good friend, by the way, Nathan Shields says, is Biden working for Trump? It's funny you say that. I was kind of wondering if he were to work for Trump, could he come up with a better plan? Thomas Otten said Biden's makeup is like camouflage for the bookcases. He's like the Invisible Man. Interesting. And again, Thomas, and thank you, Thomas, and everyone. He had access to some of the greatest folks of all time, the greatest makeup artists from all of his friends in Hollywood. Pilgrim Media says Pops sounds like Floyd the Barber on Mayberry RFD. By the way, what's his name? Howard McNear. After the stroke, remember the first Floyd was, Andy, we have to do something about Howard. He was, and then he had the stroke, and it was like, oh, Andy, he's a nice boy. He's a nice. That was the post-ischemic attack. Very good eye there. Very good eye. Bradley Alba says, thus saith the Lord, George Friedrich Handel. Thank you so much. Judas Go Barbecue says he needs a mini-mental status in MOCA or mini-mental status exam, which are validated cognitive tools. I have administered dozens of them, and they are very reliable. Refusing to do the test is telling us in and of itself. Why, thank you for that. However, let me remind you of one thing. If somebody came in, let's say you were you ran a ballet, and one of your dancers came in weighing approximately, let's say 300 pounds, but you didn't know. You didn't know the exact amount. You might want to say, I don't really need a test. You are exceedingly overweight. As a former prosecutor, I will tell you that whenever we handle DUI cases, some of the best cases I ever had was with no breath, no field sobriety test, no horizontal gaze and nystagmus, no nothing. Just observation. Just, you don't necessarily. I can tell sometimes when women are pregnant. And by the way, another thing too, our good friend, Mr. Goat, Mr. Barbecue, we don't really know specifically what the name of his dotage is, his senescence. Does it matter? Daniel said, Lionel, be truthful. Isn't Sparky actually Mrs. L? I do not believe that is true, but thank you very much for that. Now, let me tell you what I would have done. Listen to me and listen carefully. And what I'm about to tell you, I mentioned it before. This is what I would say specifically if I ran the show. If I said, listen, Joe, you're going to lose this. You're going to lose it bigly, okay? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out with a bang. Mini Tab says, but remember, Biden said he didn't watch the debate after. So when did he count the 28 lies? Well, he was there. Mind the Tab, and thank you for this. He was there and ticking off the lies at the time. 28, not 27, not 29. Now, doesn't that belie any particular allegation or accusation of a degree of dehiscence from mentation? I don't think so. Wouldn't that be great? I'm not feeling so good. You okay, Mr. President? You know, George, I got to tell you something. I don't know if it's the lights, the coffee, but I had gas. Wouldn't that be something? It was really bad. But it was that painful, a stabbing. You know what I mean? That's what it was. But my mental ability was just fine. But I've had a little lower GI stuff. Let me tell you something. Sometimes the guacamole, guac doesn't hit right. I did a breakfast burrito one time. Remember, it was the late 80s. And I guarantee you, I could clear out half of Nebraska. In fact, believe it or not, they were going to make a nerve gas out of my particular flatus. So that could be it. But going back to what I said, and please forgive me. I'm a child when it comes to anything involving flatulence jokes. Sorry. It's me. I can't help it. It's who I am. Hello, it's me. I think Todd Rundgren said it best. Now, here's what he needs to do. You ready for this? He needs to lean over. And George has this space. George is not used to people violating his space. He needs to lean over and say, let me tell you something. Oh, by the way, Gracie, George, thanks for telling me 8:30. Better than the debate. We'll be glad telling Pops to drop out. Will God be telling yes, if the good Lord. And you told me 8:30. You told me 8:30. That's okay. It happens. Yeah, that's right. George was saying, if you go Lord, just leave God out of this for the love of God. But here's what he would have said. Listen to me carefully. And I'm not kidding you. This is what I would have said 100%. Absolutely guaranteed. Okay? Because remember, they're demanding that he dropped out. So he's got to do something where you're trying to get the country to like you. Let me say this again. I want him to go out and have the country like him. Okay? So right off the bat, George Stephanopoulos, Mr. President. Yes, George. And by the way, thank you for this school. I don't know where we are. What is this, a grade school? What is this? Go ahead, George. What's your first question? Mr. President, I noticed from the first question, you go, George, it sucked. It was the worst. I'm thinking Little Bighorn, Waterloo, Hindenburg. It was a disaster. New Coke. I'm trying to think of every. It sounded worse than a Bay City Rollers reunion band. It was horrible. I was horrible. I wouldn't vote for me. I wouldn't. Based on that, what are you kidding? It was horrid. I looked like I didn't know where the hell I was. Bad? Not in my best game? What are you kidding me? It was terrible. Now, stop. See what I just did? I have people at home say, well, that's about it. You don't say, well, I study too much. Study too much? Yeah, I studied to facts, but I didn't study what, English? A couple of times I couldn't even hear myself. Mr. President? Yes, George. Do you know what it was? Sure. George, you ever see the movie The Exorcist? Yeah, I was possessed. I think it was Satan. I think I was possessed. Either that or somebody slipped me GHB or something, a roofie, something. I mean, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Now, this is provided he can speak differently. Then, if he sounds as he did, the same as he did before, it defeats the purpose. You guys say, it was terrible. This is terrible now. Well, I didn't say it wasn't. I just said it was terrible. Listen, remember something. Uncle Lenny's going to give you a piece of advice, and you're not going to. I mean, you're going to understand it, but you're not going to understand the brilliance of it. Tell the truth. When they catch you, admit it, but really lay it out. Really lay it out. Crimes, no. Okay, just keep your mouth shut. Don't go into it. But if somebody says, well, was it a bad night? Yeah, it was awful. It was terrible. It was the worst. I mean, it was absolutely the worst. And you know what, George? If you think about this, in the history before me, BB, before Biden, these debates meant nothing. They meant nothing. They meant absolutely nothing. Nobody wants to debate for any reason. You'd catch somebody. You got some stupid thing. You got that business one time with Lloyd Benson. I know it was a vice president thing, but I knew Jack Kennedy as a friend of mine. You know Jack Kennedy. Ooh, and well, there you go again. Ooh, the best one was when Gerald Ford said, under Ford administration, there will not be any Soviet intervention, Soviet contamination, whatever, in Eastern Europe. And Max Franco from the New York Times said, what? Oh, excuse me, what? Even Jimmy Carter said, whoa, hey. And later on, they said, well, technically, Gerald Ford was right. No, he was not technically right. Those were the worst gaffes ever. Then there was Michael Dukakis, Mr. Dukakis. If Willie Horton savaged your wife, and smeared it with Bing cheese and Bing cherries and knocked him off with a slingshot of 20 feet and squatted over a goldfish bowl as she wore a night jacket and made her sing Hallelujah Hollywood nude walking backwards over a plank, would you then advocate the death penalty? Well, Bernard, no, I wouldn't. That was a what are you talking about? That was just stupid. Those don't matter. What you saw here was a disaster. It was the worst. It will forever be the new standard. Now, here's the new ones. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The next one's going to be, do we all admit Biden's out? Do we all admit this? Not admit. Do we all agree, everybody? Biden's out. He's done. He's done. I don't know how. If he steps down. Do we all admit? Okay, here's what he does. This is something to be a real deek. Now remember, they're going to tell him, now listen, George, listen, Joe, I'll call you George. Remember one thing, don't get cheeky, okay? Because, you see, you got your boy there that we still control. His name is, what is it, Hunter? Ah, yes, Hunter Biden. Yes. If you do something really stupid, I promise you, we will crucify this guy. Crucify him. And don't give me this business about, well, I'm not going to issue a pardon. We're going to go after him, your brother, James. We will, you understand it? Don't be cheeky. But let's assume that Biden says what I really want to do. He says, let's go to the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment was in 1967. It was passed. It was wonderful. It was this great deal because under Article 2, Section whatever clause is, even after the death of William Henry Harrison, if you recall that, William Henry Harrison was the schmuck who didn't wear a coat. It was raining. He went outside. It was the inauguration. He died supposedly, or supposedly, as people say. He died about 30 days later after he was soaking wet. Anyway, so John Tyler became the vice president. So at the time they said, so John Tyler, is it you? Is it, what do you mean? Well, what's going to happen? Well, what did we do? Well, you see, what's interesting about this is we're not really sure. Well, what do you mean? Well, under the, and this is important, under the Article 2 provision of it, we're not sure whether he passes. I don't want to get into the history of this, but we're not sure. It says that the vice president takes and assumes the powers. So Tyler said, I'm not some acting president. I'm the president. And they said, well, we don't know if you're the president. Well, not really. What do you mean, not really? What are you talking about? I'm the president. He said, we're not really sure about that. What do you mean you're not sure? He's dead. I take it, well, the problem is, he said, he succeeded to the presidency, but he said, but I'm not going to be assuming its powers and duties. And in fact, he declined to acknowledge these documents that called him an acting president. So that was one problem. Then you had later on Grover Cleveland, who, by the way, Trump is going to be breaking his record of winning 2 non-consecutive terms. Cleveland in 1893, he had, remember, jaw surgery, cancer. So he was out for a while. Nobody knew where he was. In 1919, Woody Wilson, I call him Woody. Woody had a stroke, and his wife Edith took over, and their Dr. Grayson, the White House physician, nobody knew how bad he was. We don't know about that one. And prior to 1967, then there was Andrew. It was just a mess. So 1967 came along, and ta-da! We have the 25th Amendment. And it works great. Section 1, very simple. In case of the removal of the president from office or his death. Let me try this again in English. In the case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. So if he resigns, you got this? Section 1. But wait a minute. If he resigns, then it becomes Kamala's. Okay? Let's go to Section 3. This is a good one. Are you ready? Under Section 3, whenever the president transmits to the president pro tem. Oh, and by the way, my friends, especially those you great, wonderful folks who may have just tuned in, who is, the order of succession, right? It's very, very simple. You have the president. He's the big shot. Then you have the vice president. That's correct. And then you have, what do you have next? Then you have the Speaker of the House. Okay, very good. Very, very good. And then you have, which is very interesting, then you have number 3. Number 3, the president of the Senate pro tem. That's after it. Who is that? Now, we said this before, but this is one of those great things you can ask people. Who is the president of the Senate pro tem? Patty Murray. Who? Patty Murray. Sounds like a barkeep in the West Side. No, Patty Murray. It was Patrick Leahy. Then it became Feinstein. Then she was a little unable to do it, and Patty Murray. So that's the order of succession. But here's the deal. And listen to me carefully. This is what I love. This is if Biden wants to be a real jerk. Whenever the president, this is Section 3 of 25th Amendment, whenever the president transmits to the president pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. So he can just do it as long as he wants. I'm not feeling good. Got to take some cognitive tests. I don't know. Here, what's this? I'm going to be out of commission for a while, okay? I'm going to take some PTO for a while. Cammie, it's up to you, Vice President. No, you're the acting president. You mean the president? No. This is what John Tyler was upset about. No, you're the acting president because I'm not resigning. I'm just saying I'm unable to discharge. And if I say right before the last day of the term, by the way, I'm back. I'm ready to do it now. I go right back into office. Wouldn't that be something? I love that just to see why you. This is if Biden just says, you know what? The hell with you people. I've given 50 years of my life, 50 years of my life, scraping and doing all of this god-awful stuff. And here I am. And this is the way you treat me? This is the way you treat me? It's horrid. Did I say this? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's, by the way, very, very good point. George says, better than the debate will God be telling Pops. I've already read these, but I like them anyway. Here we go. Major Michael says, you'll pray my delegates from my cold, dead hands. And of course, Bob S. says, it's all going to get real ugly. It could be. It could be. But wait a minute. There's more. Let's go full Article 25, Amendment 25, which is just, they keep talking about this, but let's assume they went through with this. This is real good, all right? Listen to this one. This is wild. Whenever the vice president and the majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments, what? Wait, well, what? Whether the vice president, yeah, I got that part, and the majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the duties of his office. The vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as, here we go again, acting president, not president, acting. Thereafter, and it gets really good now, when the president transmits to the president pro tem and the House his written declaration that no inability exists, if he says, hey, you know what? Screw you, I'm fine. So I got it. Yeah, what's that? Hang on. Pardon me. There we go. There we go. Depending upon the humidity. That's pay dirt right there. That'll get him scared in the elevator. Oh yeah. And in a spacesuit. And during physical examinations. So the president sends his written declaration that no inability exists. He shall resume the powers and duties of his office. Unless, you got it? So here's the letter. And Biden says back, no, I'm not. I'm fine. Okay. He wrote back. What is it, Cammie? He wrote back and said he's fine. Well, we're going to contest that. unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit within 4 days to the president pro tem and the speaker their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge his duties, whereupon the Congress shall then decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. I mean, isn't this not great? And if the Congress, within 21 days after the receipt of the letter written, I'm not going to read it. It's not going to go there. But isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting? I love this stuff. I love the rules of this. I love this stuff. I think it is fabulous. Now, let's go back to square one, dear friends. Let's go through the possibilities and let's go through what's going to happen, okay? Let's go through what's happening. Number one, Joe Biden is gone. Do you hear what I'm saying? He's gone. Either he quits, he sends in a letter. That's my favorite. You're acting president. And if he never, issues a retraction or clarifies it, we just go into the... Anyway, he's not going to do that. But he could. But he's gone. He's gone. Let me ask you a question. Why did these... Oh, for the love of God. Why do these people... Let me turn my microphone. Why do these people think it'll go away? Why do these people think that we didn't know this? Why did they think that we didn't know this? Why did they think that for all this time, and I've been talking about this since June of 2017 after the first corn pop speech, why did they not think that we knew this? Why did they not think we knew this? Why did they... How did this not come through? Let me tell you what they're going to be doing. Ready for this? Because that's the first question. It's like, no, duh. You didn't know this? You didn't know this? You didn't know this? It was like one time we were in a newsroom when Governor Jim McGreevey, the governor of New Jersey, was going to announce that he's gay. And we were all in the newsroom, and they said, "What? McCreevy's got a big announcement. What is it? Turn it up, Bob. Turn it up. Quiet. Big announcement. He goes, today, I'm a gay man. Yeah, turn it up. Big announcement." I think that was the announcement. Oh, we already knew that. Well, we knew that, but he didn't know we knew that. And it was obvious. Everybody knew that. Well, everybody knew this with Joe. Now, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be saying that somehow Kamala Harris is responsible. They're going to be saying, and Trump, stop for a second. Trump and Kamala Harris in a debate. So, Biden's out. It's going to be Kamala. And whether it's done at the convention, before the convention, I don't know. She's going to be it. She picks somebody. Who could it be? Well, we'll get to that later. If that doesn't work, there is the remotest of possibilities, and that would be that Gavin Newsom, I think, they've been talking about Gavin Newsom forever, but he is such a perv and such a skeeve. I mean, he is wait till you hear that story in the California Mafia. But let's go back. Imagine this debate. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is not stupid per se. We use the word stupid too much. I do, I admit. But she's a cross between, I would say, Deepak Chopra and Hunter S. Thompson on acid. She talks, she says nothing. And within the realm of inability to which we, having found, it's Irwin Corey, if you remember Professor Irwin Corey. This having realized that which was the basis for this particular issue that we speak of right now, does not in any way sully or detract from a participatory subtext of this, which would both allow and disallow simultaneously that which, this reminds me of something. Years ago, I was a caller. I used to love to call radio stations. And there was a guy in New York, very famous, named Barry Gray. This was years ago. And I love to call up talk radio, talk shows. And I realized I was doing a Kamala before I knew what it was. I would call up this Barry Gray and say, Mr. Gray, good evening. The subject, if one were to call it a subject, perhaps maybe the rubric by which all of the subdirectories appertain, when considering the fact that we initially provided a subtextual reference to it, if you will, subtextual, subliminal, archetypically sound, and I never went to the top. I never got there, never approximated it, never got there, never did. We had a wonderful time years ago. There was this guy who was a great, he was a wonderful plant man. He had a plant show. And he loved everybody. Hi, how are you? Let's go right now to Jerry. Jerry, let's go. So I called up and I said I was Cleotis. And he never, and his name was Gil Whitten. Wonderful man. This was years ago. And I called him up and said, hey, Mr. Gil, how you doing? I said, homeboy has got up at the mama crib. Nothing but a Peter bed. And I was just doing the things from homeboy has got about the mama. Let me hold about a knot here and a pack of what I am. I said, okay. And he didn't know what it was. So as I was listening to Kamala speak, I'm thinking, where do I know this from? Why is this so familiar? I'm saying that's what I would do. I would call up talk radio because nobody would ever expect it. Because Kamala Harris says nothing. And Kamala Harris doesn't recognize the fact that what she says is nothing. The community bank things is nothing. I would love to have some of the greatest performers and the greatest stentorian speakers. Imagine somebody like a Gore Vidal or Orson Welles or somebody actually doing Kamala's speech. Well, she's a nincompoop, and we know this. Now, Kamala Harris, as you know, wants to be everybody's girlfriend. She wants to be sexy mama, as Drew Barrymore said. She wants to dance. She's like that Kimberly Guilfoyle. Remember who always wanted to dance? Look at me, I'm dancing. You love my sexy dancing, don't you? You love my sexy dancing. Well, I don't know if I like it. You love my sexy dancing. Well, I'm not really crazy about this thing. I'm not really. Anyway, that's her whole thing. She wants to dance. When they had Juneteenth with Billy, not Billy Preston, Billy, what his name is, the guy with the beard and the dress, and there's Joe. And they're trying to keep rhythm. And they were doing, when they do all of this, I love the gospel thing. In the name of Jesus, praise God. That kind of thing. And there's Joe. Well, that's Kamala. She goes from a articulate, yet soulful, to this mondo weird, whatever she's talking about. And she's a joke. Imagine this. Remember, do you remember the 26th of September? Pilgrim, by the way, says, I still listen to Phil Hendry's bits, funny stuff. Oh, Hendry was a genius. But let me tell you a couple of things here. Years ago, there was do you remember when they introduced AMSLAN, American Sign Language? Do you remember that? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, there were these sign language folks. And I thought, well, this is pretty good. That's good. I like that sign language. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, And some, they wouldn't do this. And the people ask the question, what are, it's never flat out. It's always, and they would kind of editorialize it. I'm thinking, are you sure this? And then, by the way, there was a spate. We did this one night, a spate, a passel, dare I say, of fake sign language people. And there was a guy from the city of Tampa, the police department. They said, you didn't know He couldn't speak. He says, how the hell am I supposed to know? He volunteered, I guess. Well, didn't you check him out? Why would I check him out? I mean, think about it. You would think, somebody came to the Tampa Police Department and said, I'm willing to offer my services at a sign language. Well, that's very nice. He couldn't do it. He's making up, and they had sign actual deaf or sign language readers. They didn't know what he was saying. Okay. You know how they do this? How they look confused? Imagine being the sign language person for Joe. How's it? I don't know. What's on state America? You wouldn't get words out. You would have to anticipate what he's saying. You don't want to read through. You want to say what he said. You want to say what he said. Years ago, same thing. Did a case one time in juvenile. It was we had more cases than you can imagine. It was like juveniles, all non-jury, because it was equity courts, and you it was a felony case, but there was no jury, so it was just the judge and me and the prosecutor. And I had this brand new kind of a trainee, and we had the stack of cases. I had no idea, no preparation. It's just mass unit stuff. Go in there, I think one was a retail theft. And I walked in there, and I said, so I was telling this young person who was a trainee, and me, the veteran, I said, watch this. I'll show you how to do it. I said, just watch what I do. Every case started off. State your name for the record. Good one to start. Retail theft. I got okay. State your name for the record. And the court reporters like this. And they always had this look in their face. Because they must be thinking of like, I forgot to get milk. As soon as I get done. Anyway, I said, state your name for the record. He said, Gerald Sowell. I said, just a minute. Pardon me. Your Honor, give me a second, please. I'm going there. I said, what the hell is this guy's name? Gerald? And look at this. I don't know. Do you get a name? Is there a victim name? Go, well, Mr. Sowell, what happened? In your own words. And as I was saying before, he said, I was walking straight down the street, and the dude came up and knocked my sky off, and I skied on back to my mama crib, but there was 99 roll in the hole. I said, very good. You're a witness. And the prosecutor, or the defense lawyer from the public defender's office, did one of the most beautiful cross-examinations ever. He said, what? You what? We had this wonderful judge at the time who was very southern. He says, excuse me, perhaps you might be able to assist me. I'm having a difficult time understanding what Mr. Sowell is saying. I said, well, Your Honor, he said it was walking straight down the street. And the dude knocked my sky off. The man knocked his hat off. And he skied on back to his mama's crib. He went back to his mother's house because 99 was rolling the hole because the police were coming. He said, that is remarkable. Your witness. What? So during the course of this, I said, I forget why, for some particular reason, what made me think of this. I said, Mr. Osama, how did that make you feel? And apparently I hit a nerve of some sort. And I'm not even sure exactly what he's doing there. Or I still don't know. But he was a state witness. So I said, how did that make you feel? And he started crying. And he said, pity, hitty, hado. And I looked at the court reporter, kind of reminded me of the sign language person. And the court reporter, I'm looking and she's kind of like, and I said, Your Honor, yes, would you instruct Madam Court Reporter to read back that last answer? And please do not read back what she thinks Mr. Sowell said, but what he actually said, the words uttered. And the judge caught on. He said, that is a marvelous suggestion. Madam Court Reporter, would you please read back that last answer? Not what you believe the man said, but what he actually said phonetically. And he said, she goes back, she has this tape, she goes back, just a minute. Question, how did that make you feel? Answer, pity, hitty, hidey ho. Thank you very much. Your witness, cross-examination. What? Anyway. So how could somebody be an Amisland person with Joe Biden? Horrible. Or do it without a way, without intimating that what he's saying was complete balderdash. Stan Lipman, ladies and gentlemen, says Kamala quits, Trump made speaker, Biden cracks, Trump restored, could happen anytime. Kamala quits, Trump made speaker. You think Trump is going to deign to be the Speaker of the House? Biden cracks, Trump restored. So he's going to, by virtue of succession, and I believe succession is only almost in kind of like a quasi-emergency state. That's very good. By the way, Stan Lipman, if ever you see his name on any ballot, vote for Stan Lipman. Wouldn't you trust somebody named Stan Lipman? Wouldn't you? I would. Now, let me tell you what Trump is doing, which is beautiful. Trump is just sitting back. He's not doing anything. He's not saying anything. He's not pushing it. He's not demanding anything. He's just sitting back. He's just watching this. He doesn't have to say anything. In fact, today, I believe he even said, Joe, if you'd like to talk, can we? It's almost like I'm reaching out. Like, look, if you need somebody to talk to, buddy, I'm always here for you. I'm always here for you. He almost said, like, why don't we talk about this? But just imagine, going back to what I said, President Trump with Kamala Harris during the first debate. And I think that would just be one. Did you ever see Oliver Reed drunk? There was one particular piece, I think I'll try to find it for you. Oliver Reed drunk, where he's on this show and he is so drunk and he's just spewing this absolute gibberish. And someone says, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying. And they're very British, and he says, oh, the bucket, the pick of the dog, send it all the guts of the ball. And I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. If Trump tried to be very polite, and when she gives you one of those, the community is a community, for Trump to say, I don't know what's going on. On a very serious note, imagine what Xi Jinping, Putin, Erdogan, Sinwar, go down the list of Houthis, leadership, Netanyahu. What does Netanyahu do? He shows up and says, oh my God, I can't sit next to Biden. Well, if he gives me any money, they're going to say, you took money from him? Yeah, he's a veg. He doesn't know what he's doing. Now, wait a minute. He's not a veg. Well, yes, he is. What are you doing? And he's like this. Oh, so good. And Bibi was said, I don't know. Did we get the weapons? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not sure what he said. Let's ask the court report. I don't know. We don't know what he's talking about. Is he going to do a State of the Union? Has he done a State of the Union? Do you remember any of this stuff? I want to talk about something else, which is very important. And I want you to listen to me and listen carefully, okay? Listen to me and listen carefully, okay? Okay? Just listen to me carefully. We live in a world right now where we love, by virtue of social media, to make fun of people. We mock, deride. We love to be mean. We really do. We love to be mean. Okay? Let me just say something right now. This is what I live for. Kelly Kay loved the fart jokes. Does Lex Friedman do that after he had on Ivanka Trump? I don't think so. Joe Rogan get this? Hey, Joe, love the fart jokes. Does who? Anybody else? No. Nobody does it. Nobody. Nobody does it. This is what I live for. This is it. That's the greatest thing in the world. Somebody just tunes in right now and says, well, this sounds interesting. Oh, Lionel. I love to say that, Lionel. Love the fart jokes. I have no idea what that is. But we live in a world right now of social media where we trash everybody and we mock people. And I got something the other day from a friend of mine who was, it's my friend's daughter. She's in her 30s. She's never shown any interest in anything political in the least. None, nothing. I don't even think she knows who president is. She's not a stupid person. She just doesn't really care. She's sending me memes and Instagram on Biden. I asked her, I said, do your friends, that's all we're talking about. He's a joke. Are you going to vote for Trump? Well, I said, okay, maybe I understand it. Would you have voted for Biden? Oh, yes. Are you going to vote for him now? Oh, no. See what I'm saying? When we were in my generation, we never had these things. I can remember the introduction of virtually everything. Social media means everything. Social media is what is going to control everything. It's not cartoonists. It's not Edward R. Murrow. It's none of that. It's going to be memes. And one of the greatest persons available, one of my new heroes, is Elon Musk, who is going to absolutely pack this thing for Trump. Well, not incorrectly, but he's allowing people back on who are able to speak. Did you hear Bobby Kennedy? What happened to this guy? Recently he said, well, I don't know. I really don't have an opinion regarding 9/11, but I just, what? You what? Well, I don't know about that. All of a sudden people are saying, what? Candace Owens. Well, I saw this film, I guess, when I was in junior high called Loose Change. And, that's some wild stuff. You're 23 years late. I was there. Sagar, you ever watch? I like to watch Sagar and Crystal Ball, the Breaking Point. I love that. You ever watch it? Sagar just realized, I just realized that this story about the Saudis, I don't know if I really buy this. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't belong in this world. That's why I do stuff on my private channel. I don't even know how to tell people about this. I don't want to complicate things, but I'm just saying, didn't Bobby Kennedy seem, when you first saw him, didn't he seem like, wow, we call him a bofa, a breath of fresh air. Then he hooked up with that dingbat Moneybags, Shanahan, whatever her name is. She's a lunatic. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Then he got hooked up with Shmuley Boteach. Next thing you know, it was off to the races, and it was over for him. Pilgrim, by the way, says, Joe, you answered all the questions. Here's a cookie. Yes. Or better yet, here's cookie. Thank you so much. Kama says, Kamala quits. Is Biden Clinton or Biden Obama? Well, when you say if Kamala quits, is Biden Clinton, you mean Hillary, or Biden Michelle Obama? No. I'm going to tell you right now. Believe me when I tell you this. Hillary Clinton. Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton will go to her grave trying to become president. Michelle Obama has absolutely no interest in this. She wants to be Oprah. I think we have a lot of new folks here, and I don't want to scare you, okay? But I think you're able to handle this. You do recognize the fact that the people who run the world, I'm going to get a little dark on you here. I don't mean that you got to be careful how you say it. I'm a little dark here. I'm going to talk about Oprah. I'm a little dark here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to talk about the dark underbelly of society. Little time out. Do you believe in the devil? I don't mean to just hit you with. Do you believe in the devil? Do you believe in the devil? Do you believe in the personification of evil in a person called Satan or Lucifer? Lucis, giver of light. Lucifer was, of course, God's attorney, so to speak, of the archangels. Do you believe in this? Do you believe in the personification of evil? Do you believe, praise God, the baby, foul, deaf spirit be gone? Yea, I was slain in the spirit by Ernest Angley. Do you believe there is an evil? Do you believe there are people who, when together, they act in evil ways? Do you believe in this eyes wide shut? Do you believe in secret organizations? Do you believe there are cabals, covens, convocations, cadres, consortia of criminals, of evil people who don funny hats and capes and they love symbols and fire and, everything from skull and bones to, I don't want to bring up Masonry or the Masonic stuff, but do you understand that? Okay. There is another group of people, and at the very top of this, and these don't even hide. One of the most profoundly important people was a fellow named Cat Williams, who let the cat out of the bag. And I think they told Cat to shut up because Cat's been nowhere to be found. When he was on with Shannon Shea with Club Shay Shay, it was one of the most important moments ever. And people may laugh at this because they look at Shannon and they say, Shannon to an extent, but they look at Kat and Monique and others. There are people in the world that are the personification of evil. Breitbart said it best, that politics is downstream from entertainment. There are people so depraved in the world of entertainment. There are people who are the chosen ones. Tyler Perry. Oprah. Where does Oprah come from? She's a billionaire? From where? From where? Well, she had her TV show. And what? That thing? Anybody watching it? It's not like Seinfeld. Seinfeld is on TV in every country constantly. Anybody watching any old Oprah shows? No. So where's she get her money? Does she really have that money? No. Is she really a billionaire? No. But she's there. Remember her girls' school? Remember all these folks? Remember all these people? Now we're getting into Diddy. We're getting into a certain person whose name I cannot mention because of all kinds of algorithms, who met an untimely demise in a certain holdings, the federal facility, while he was awaiting disposition of his case. There is an evil and a cabal and a group of people at every level, but mostly at the very top of this group called the shadow government. And this group runs everything, runs the world. You can call them globalists, you can call them whatever you want. And when you tell people this, you do know they call you crazy, right? They do know that. Like the great Gore Vidal said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. Do you know what conspiracy is? You know what conspire is? Conspirare, the Latin, to breathe with. It's the confederation. It's the union of two guilty people conspiring and agreeing to do something evil. That's the crime. The crime is in the conspiracy, not what you're planning on doing, but merely coming together, forming this. Forming the group, it's the conspiracy is that. You've got people right now, you've got a depravity. And Diddy, don't buy the green bananas. Why do you think people come after people? They bust them and they let them go. Why do you think that is? I'm changing the subject, but it looks like you're going to like this. I just want you to think about this. Why did they do a search warrant? Seem to take stuff and let him go. Never arrested him. Why is that? What did they take? What did they see? Did they take information of other people? You know what the two leading businesses in the world are today? Two number one, the most lucrative of them all. Two, not crypto, not real estate. No. Extortion, blackmail, and human trafficking. Absolutely. If I could tell you, Diddy and others, the trafficking, the stories, who was involved. Oh my God. Like I could take you all the way back. Harlow, the days of Gable. Oh my God. Bob Hope, Clara Bow, Chaplin, pre Fatty Arbuckle. But I can't even tell you. I can't tell you the subject matter. So what I'm saying, my friends, is this. Stop. This is the world. This is our little ball here. This is our little thing. If you step back and you met somebody who is an alien, do you folks believe in them? I'm just curious. Do you believe in aliens and critters? Do you? Do you ever think that? Do you think there's something to this? Do you think that there's, and I'm not saying, well, there's got to be other people. No, I'm not saying that. Do you think there's evidence of this? Actual extraterrestrial biological entities flying, locomoting, spiriting about the universe in different craft that visit here and may even up to and including pick some of us up and do all kinds of testing, or just people vanish or whatever it is. Do you believe so? Do you believe so? This is one of the ones where I'm telling you, if you knew the information that was out there, it would blow your mind. You can't believe the information. And you're always told that these people are kind of crazy. Go to a MUFON meeting and you see them walking around with big straw hats and big buttons and, take me to your leader. Well, I got news for you. This one's going to blow your mind. A Vatican astronomer years ago suggested that it is completely consistent within Catholic ideology and Christianity, as far as they're concerned, for you to believe that there are other people, other entities floating about, flying about, existing, coexisting in either other planets or parallel universes or whatever. And he said, and they are under the Bible, they are looked at the way we look at, or the way Catholics look at angels. I was trying to think of the word for it. Angels, sprites, spirits, things like that. Okay. Here's the question. If there are, and they believe there are, this is according to the Vatican, if there are other people on other planets, do they have original sin? Meaning, does Jesus say to them, oh, I've never been there. I don't have to go there. They haven't done anything wrong. This is the group. They're the ones that seek redemption, that need to be born again, because they were born with original sin. They're murderers and killers, and they're horrible people. The human race. They need to be. What do you think Joel Osteen is going to feel if they find out that we are perhaps one of the only, according to the theory, one of the only groups of people that need original sin? We are so blemished from the beginning that we must seek redemption. Let that one go. That blows my mind. And if you don't see the significance of that one, I don't know what to tell you. And one more thing. Listen to this one. The number one, and I don't think Kamala is going to be talking about this, but the number one most frightening thing that could very well not only pose as an existential threat, but be part of the ruination of humankind, and that's artificial general intelligence. AGI is the end of everything. And the potential for that, it depends upon whatever these. You're going to get so philosophical one day. I don't want you to get too deep into this, but I want you to remember these 4 things very simply that these things are going to be able to do. Number 1, recursive self-improvement, where they're going to be able to basically write their own code. Number 2, they're going to know every bit of information, every bit of data, everything you've ever known that mankind has ever, every book, every song, every name, every social security number, every entry, everything in the world, it's going to know this. Number 3, it's going to know behavior. It's going to know human behavior. It's going to know the way you think, the way you act, the way you are, the way you smile. It's going to know you and read you. Oh, you're jealous. Oh, you're mad. Oh, you're showing anger. You're happy. You like this. This is greed. It reads you. And the 4th thing is it writes its own APIs, its own apps and things like that. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to be able to turn your ability to turn it off, and it's off to the races. We need a level of government with some really smart people who are able to think of things and appreciate things that are so beyond the realm of everything. I think Trump is the greatest thing for us. I want to say something about that. I don't know whether you like him or not. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I got this hat a while back. I don't like wearing these hats because there's a lot of people walking around with these Trump hats on. I think some of them are just idiots. And I don't want to be confused. But I saved this. I've got more memorabilia here than you can imagine. But this is a hat I love. Can you see this? It says Trump 2024. The rules have changed. It's my favorite. Your father's world, your grandfather's world, your grandmother's world, everything that preceded is of course different, but you are not going to believe what we're seeing here. This is going to be the end of the political system, the left-right paradigm, this conservative liberal bunkum, this hokum, this idiocy, this Manichaean nonsense, 2 sides of the same coin. We're going to realize that the permutation of this iteration of left is so evil and so vile, it has to be crushed and destroyed, ablated, emended, expurgated, amputated peacefully through the process. And the only thing available is Donald Trump. Why is that? Because he is chemotherapy. Donald Trump is chemotherapy. If you want to go after a cancer, you use radiation, use surgery, but you also need chemotherapy. Now, chemotherapy, some blast of like tamoxifen or something, this stuff will kill you unless you have cancer. Then you weigh it. Then you say, you know what? It'll kill the cancer. We need this. We need Donald Trump. He kills the cancer. Biden is a part of a group of people. This, you call them deep state. I call it the shadow government. They are so evil. They are so demented. They are so frightening. They are so devoid of anything even remotely worthwhile. They go after things which are so frightening to me. Children, families, gender, relationships. Kids right now are saying more than ever, they feel anxiety. They're taking more psych meds than you can imagine. They're self-medicating with CBDs. They're walking around with all these therapy ferrets, and kids are going to be, I just saw it right here in New York. Eventually, schools are going to go completely remote. You're going to see the end of public schools. Oh, there's going to be some superstructure for some administrators, but you're going to see the end of it because they want to make us stupid. They want kids in schools to be indoctrination centers, subjugation centers, where kids are just told not to think, not to critically think, but to just give in. This is what this is about. This isn't about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is about these people are the top. Think of them as a whitehead on top of this huge sebaceous boil that's about to pop, but they're at the very top of it. But if you want to get through this Vesuvius-like pustule, you got to start with them. And you got to go deep, 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 like the zit popper, and get rid of these people. And that means a concerted effort and a plan, 25 years in increments of 25 years. Now, I don't know who's going to be able to do it. I don't know who's going to do it. But you know what? I'll start with Trump. And what that man has done, God bless him. God bless him. I think he's out of his mind to put up with this stuff, to lose billions of dollars. They got him on an emoluments clause. They were going to get him on the emoluments clause of the, and nobody even knows what the hell that is. Impeached twice, 4 criminal prosecutions, 2 civil. They want to just wipe him out. And yet, I believe more and more that not only is there a God, God has a sense of humor, and God loves Donald Trump. Because God says, okay, are you feeling pretty bad, Donald? Yes, I am. Are you feeling like all's lost? Yes. Do you feel like you're just overwhelmed with all these cases or whatever? You need a little good news? Yes, I do. Well, you've been good. Watch what I do for you. E. Jean Carroll, can't help you with that. She's a joke. Nobody cares about it. It's just money. Sorry. Can't help you with that. Tish James, civil liability with Judge Ungaran. That's a weird one, too. Don't worry about that. Sorry, it's only money. Let's talk about the criminal prosecutions. I'm going to bring you Jack Smith. Who is he? He's a cretin. He's a cretin. He wears a purple robe. He was from The Hague. I don't know who this guy thinks. He's Torquemada. I think who knows. His Mar-a-Lago case went nowhere because he's lied. The January 6th case went nowhere because of this new immunity case, which God bless the Supreme Court. They did not grant the president can do anything he wants. You know that, and I know that. You got that one? Good. Then, wait a minute. Look who it is, folks. It's City Kitty Girl. Hey, thank you, CKG. I appreciate it. So you got this one? You got it? We've got the J6 case with Judge Chutkin or whatever. That thing's a dog. That's going nowhere. You got Jack Smith. That was a Jack Smith case. You got Jack Smith in Mar-a-Lago. That's going nowhere. And then we had Fannie Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Fannie Wilson. Fannie Willis. Fannie, be tender with my love. With this Jadrul, this Chooch, this idiot, this Nathan Wade. You could not. This was a serious case. This was a prosecution for RICO, for racketeering. It was beautiful. And God said, watch this one. Pilgrim said, Mr. Rell, would they try a grassy knoll thing? Don't even want to even intimate that. Don't even want to even remotely discuss it or even hint at it because of the horror of such a terrible thought, which many people have rationally thought of. But I appreciate your inquiry. Fannie Willis was an idiot. An absolute idiot. Thank you, God. And then the last one, New York. Dusty Saddles. What's her name? Stormy Daniels, Stormy Soares, but whatever her name is. This rancid, fetid, fallen, termagant, meretrix, this virago, this cur, harpy, shrew, courtesan. Meretrix is good. This slattern. And now she wants to raise $600 million because of the judgment she's got to pay back to Trump because she lost her civil suit. Gloria Steinem, who's about 190 years old, so old she farts dust. Most people don't know this. She's aligned with, she loves Stormy Daniels because Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen, that horrible, horrible case. That jury was out for like a minute and just, that thing is going to go nowhere. It's going to be either reversed. It is just, and the reason why they moved it to September wasn't because they had to consider anything. It was because the judge realized that politically, this is catastrophic. So listen, you've been through a lot, my friends. You have been through so much. You have been through so very much. I want to tell you that I'm just a simple man. I do not believe I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. But I believe in thanking people like Pilgrim City Kitty Girl. Stan Lipman, ladies and gentlemen. Bob S., I said. Major Michael. Gracie loves George. Thanks to you. Mind Tab as well. Thank you. Daniel. Judas Goat Barbecue. Mr. Bradley Opland. Thomas Otten. Nathan Scheel. I believe we're saying that correctly. Pete 018. Moreman USA. Thank you. Let me see. And Judas Goat. Thank you for that. Thank you. But I want you to know something. I am not, nor have I ever been, a Republican. I'm not in this. I am here for one thing and one thing only, to save this Constitution. That's it. And what happens after Trump? I have no idea. I don't fit in. I don't like the left. I don't like the right. I can't stand Fox News. I can't watch. I watch CNN to find out what the enemy think, only to know where they're going with this. I don't have any. There are very few people who even approximate what I believe in. But I swear to you, this thing has turned like this. Why they all of a sudden realize that Joe Biden is out of his tree, I don't know. But thank God they did. So, dear friends, thank you. Thank you so much. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much. I'm a simple person. You have no idea the fun this brings. Ladies and gentlemen, Christos Stavru, the honey man. Thank you, my friend. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Please join us, especially the newer editions of this. It's such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for sampling our wares. I hope you had a good time. I certainly have. And as we say, that great line from Roxanne, I'd rather be with you people than the finest people in the world. And I mean that sincerely. One of the funniest lines no one ever listens to. One of my favorite toes. I'd rather be with you people than the finest people in the world. All right, dear friends, thank you. Have a great and a glorious evening. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Until then, remember these final words, this valedictory, this adios, this sayonara. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dead.